For the first time since 2023, the 1UP Nitro National Series returns to College Station, Texas. For 53 laps, these rising stars will take on the Texas World Speedway in round number 7 of the 2026 Nitro National Series season. We are so thrilled to be back at Texas World. Some great racing here over the years. I expect today to be no different. And alongside me in the booth to bring you all the action for today's race, back with us once again is Duke and Zach. Great to have you with us. It's been a while since we've been at College Station, Texas for the Nitro National Series, but this place has always had some great racing, and I expect today to be just as good as the years before this.
You are right, and this track is just fantastic. I mean, it's a 2-mile, big, wide, banked oval. I mean, it's going to be a lot of speed today. It's going to be a lot of drafting. It's going to be a lot of close quarters action. And that's exactly what we want in the Nitro National Series. These drivers are ready. They've been ready all season for this type of race, and it's going to be a really, really good show today. I can feel it.
It's going to be a fun one from start to finish, and these tires are going to take a pounding today. We don't expect any stops to be made today, and yet with 3 seconds of fall off expected between the start of a run and at the end of a run, these guys are going to be struggling for grip towards the end of the race, and that is what we like to see, these guys having to control their race cars towards the end of the 53 laps here today. As we can now bring you the starting lineup for today's 53 laps of action, it's a Robbers Racing front row lockout. Paul Villalobos gets his first pole in the Nitro National Series with Angel Gutierrez alongside him. And not too far behind is their other teammate, Riley Hooper, who had such a strong showing at Bristol, with Nick Breeding and Elijah Ironhouse in between them, third and fourth. Boston Shaw finally gets to qualify in the Stormbreak Motorsports 31. He lines up 11th. Last week's winner, Cameron Lassard, lines up 6th. So many big stories to keep our eye on, but there's also some guys at near the midfield trying to make their way up through the pack, namely the 2 Fitzwater cars, Cody Lamas in 19th, Nathan Stapleton in 21st. I expect those two to not stay there for very long.
Absolutely. And this is the starting lineup here, of course, important. Track position's going to be important, but it's not really a track where you're going to be stuck farther back. So if you've got a fast car and you're starting a little bit farther back in this field, you absolutely could make some gains, especially if you're able to save your tires. Like you said, tire saving today is going to be critical. And if you see somebody who's maybe struggling in the beginning or maybe even just off the pace of saving their stuff, maybe at the end of the race is when they're really going to be fast. They're going to be passing cars and getting back up towards the front.
Well, with that being said, we've done enough talking. It's time to put these cars on track and see who can win out big. It's the 1UP Nitro National Series from Texas World Speedway. The race coming at you live in just a short while. Stay tuned for this. It is going to be epic. Getting set for something big here at Texas World, it is Villalobos and Gutierrez on row 1. The Robbers teammates getting set to lead us to the green flag, which is now out and in the air. We're racing in College Station, Texas. It's a pretty even launch for the front 2 rows. We got some cars fanning out further back in the field, but up at the front, the 66 does pull clear of his teammate, and he will lead the charge down into turn 1.
Yeah, really good start from the bottom lane. It looks like Nick Breeding behind is also going to get through for the second position. We'll see, though, as they stay side by side, pretty much the whole field deep. Look at that. Everybody stays side by side out of turn 2, except for our leader, Paul Villalobos, who is charging out ahead and beating everybody who's staying side by side.
Now Gutierrez is clear for the second position. Breeding and Ironhouse side by side for third. Eric DeMax popping out of line. Boston Shaw going 4 wide with Braden Varga. Brandon Smith. Andrew Langley backs out of it. Sails it back down to 3 wide. This is the action we come to expect here at Texas World. These guys fanning out every which way, trying to gain some positions in the opening laps, because that is when it will be easiest to gain ground.
Boy, it's really hard to judge which lane is doing well right now. I think the outside lane, when you're side by side, is doing a little bit better based on what happened to Nick Breeding, who has fallen pretty far back from the starting position that he had. So we'll see what happens with that throughout this race. But right now, only the front several are single file, and then there's this hornet's nest behind them. Just absolutely 3 wide chaos in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, this is what what we come to expect here as DJ Curtis goes way up the racetrack trying to make something happen in the top lane. He's got that line all to himself. He rolls it out of turn 2 with an edge on his competition. But look at this. Up at the front, Gutierrez diving down the inside of Villalobos, trying to take the lead from his teammate. We'll see now which lane wins out, top or bottom.
Yeah, and it looks like, well, for second place, it's going to be the top. Look at that. Lassard on the outside, or for third place, it's Lassard on the outside who's coming back on Ironhouse, and then Villalobos as well on the outside lane, edging just ahead of Gutierrez at this point. So in 3 and 4, it looks like that outside lane is good. We'll see about 1 and 2. The 66 clear for the lead now, and we'll see about that third spot. This is some great action. Wow.
Yeah, look at that Hornet's Nest for back, and Brandon Smith just there, from the top to the bottom just as quickly. He tries to send one down the inside. David Meske getting a little squirrely in between Lassard and Ironhouse, but that 29 has now fought his way up to the 3rd position. These Fingai Saitomi teammates they've been on a 2-race losing streak, which is a bit unprecedented for them in this 2026 season. But Meske's leading the charge. He's up to 3rd. His teammate Smith trying to fight Ironhouse for a spot in the top 5.
Yeah, and you can see Ironhouse has been kind of stuck on that bottom lane, and he's falling back. So just keep all this in mind with which lane you want your driver to be in. And here's Nick Breeding, who has made his way to the outside lane. He's on the outside of the Skittles machine on the inside. So that's going to be a fascinating battle to watch as we watch and see how these teams and how these drivers adapt to this changing racetrack and the changing tire wear level that we have throughout this race. We're only on lap 6, but you really got to be saving your stuff right now so that you can have something to play with at the end of the race.
Yeah, like we said at the top of the show, these guys are going to be falling off by about 3 seconds by the end of this race. We're in the mid 38s right now. I expect them to be into the low 41s by the end of this race. That just goes to show you the level of wear these guys are going to be facing. And look, we got a bit of a freight train going on here down on the inside. Cody Lamas has fought his way up to the top 10. I mentioned him at the top of the show. He started 19th. He's already gained 10 spots in the opening 6 laps. As Lassard, last week's winner, takes a look to the inside of Meske.
Yeah, and he's going to go to the bottom lane, and we'll see. He had a run down the straightaway. He got up next to the 29, but now he's going to end up fighting with Smith, who is on the outside. And again, I think that passing lane is the outside lane right now. So Lassard now fighting for the position that he was trying to just keep there, and not even the one that he was trying to take away on that bottom lane. But he's got some help from Demax, or maybe he doesn't. Demax is going to take it 3 wide here. This is a pretty intense battle for the top 5 right here, and now for the lead, they're side by side.
Yeah, Gutierrez trying again on that inside line. He's bringing the FPM cars with him. Smith and Meske are up to 3rd and 4th. But Gutierrez trying to get the lead away from his teammate, who's led every lap so far. Of course, Villalobos has a Nitro National start at Michigan, a track fairly similar to this, and he ran pretty well in that race, finishing in the top 5, so no surprise to see him out front. But yeah, I saw that too. Gutierrez had to get out of the gas a little bit. The 66 shut the door on him pretty tight. As look at Cody Lamas, he made a huge run around the outside, and he's now up into the top 5 after starting just inside the top 20.
Yeah, if you're able to manage getting a draft down the straightaway and then taking that run to the outside lane through the corner, you're really able to capitalize and make some moves to make some passes and gain some positions in that way. So we'll see if the 48 can do it again, but that's what happened last time.
As DJ Curtis now takes a look to the inside of Andrew Langley. This is all happening just outside the top 10. As Lamas once again jumps up to that outside line. He's taking a look on Brandon Smith before. Taking a look at the back of the field. Everybody's still rolling pretty well. But up at the front, Villalobos has led every lap up to this point. Lamas, though, is making a huge charge. He's making a move on the 92 for the 4th position as Meske looks under Gutierrez for 2nd.
Yeah, this is interesting to see if the 29 can make that pass on the bottom lane. He's looking good right now.
He's clear.
And there he goes up the track, clear. Like you said, that's a huge move right now for the 29 car to get up there, and the 48's going to try to do it too. Gutierrez now on his back foot, on his heels, trying to keep these positions away from everybody who's charging from behind. And here's Mesky right on the rear bumper of our leader.
Yeah, Villalobos hasn't had much of a challenge this race so far, except from his teammate. That is about to change, because Mesky now dives down to his inside, trying to get the lead away off into turn one, pushing 195 miles an hour in the process. And these guys are just going for it side by side for much of the top five. But I think Villalobos has the edge on the 29. He's going to clear once again, going in the 3.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm curious how the 29 was able to get by, how he set up that pass for the second position. He may have run a little bit more like a middle lane, and that allowed him to still carry momentum, but also have the shorter way around the track. We'll see if he's able to do something like that on our leader in the coming laps, but he's going to have to deal with Gutierrez on his inside before that. We'll see if he's able to have make that pass on the inside like it was made on him earlier in this race. It doesn't look like he will this time.
Yeah, it's interesting to look at the shift in momentum from lane to lane as DeMax now gets to the outside of Lamas in their battle for the 5th position. Lassard keeping the watching for 7th. But yeah, Villalobos starting to extend his gap out in front. I wonder if any of these guys are really going to have anything for him so far. These guys are giving it their all here. We're taking a look back for the rest of the top 10. See, DJ Curtis has made his way up into the 10th position. He's working over 9. And Brendan Smith goes to the outside, going to try and give his teammate a little boost to try and get around the 72. And it looks like they'll both boost.
Yeah, you know, in this track, just with the size and the speed of it all, and how little you let off in the corners, it is a high draft track. So you really, as the leader, can't escape. You can't get that far ahead because on the straightaways, everybody's going to draft right up to you, and they're going to be right back on your bumper. That's why we see this incredible action, tight battles side by side, all the way around the track throughout the whole field because just everybody's drafting right up to each other on the straightaways, and that's just the nature of this place. So we'll see what the 66 can do. He's done a fantastic job to defend that lead. You know, usually at a track like this, you see a lot of lead changes because there's a lot of drafting, a lot of slingshot moves going into corners. But right now, that 66 very, very strong out front. We'll see what he has towards the end of this race, but he's doing a great job of defending so far.
I would be surprised though if these FPM teammates didn't give him at least a little bit of a challenge for it, because Mesky is up to 2nd now. Smith trying to clear Gutierrez for 3rd, and Eric DeMax sticking his nose down on that way inside line, trying to make some push from Cameron Lassard. But up at the front, Villalobos continues to lead. Lamas trying to get back around DeMax to get back into the top 5. And it's good to see DeMax back at the front of the field. He was a bit of an anonymous factor at Bristol last week. Same with Gutierrez and a lot of these other and Villalobos too. We got a big shift at the front of the field, and Mesky and Smith are now clear of Gutierrez, and now the two teammates can set off working after this 66.
Well, you know, when you're watching these cars and they get side by side like this, like they are for 2nd place right now, and almost 3 wide actually for the 2nd position, but when they're side by side like that, they punch a way bigger hole through the air, and it causes a lot more drag on those cars, and that is why the 66, as your leader, is able to drive away from them a little bit while they're side by side behind, because they're just more drag, slower down the straightaways. And that's why we always say, when you're racing each other, you're always a bit slower. That's one of the factors in that. And you can see the 66 is pulled away to a bit of a lead here while the 92 has been trying to pass the 29. Now, this is going to be an inside pass if he does make it happen here. It looks like he will on corner entry. David Mesky way up the track right now. And now that they're clear of each other, we're going to see them both reel in that 66 car once again. And it's just a big cycle that we have of kind of the push and pull of all of it. And here's Smith right on the bumper of our leader.
Yeah, this 92 isn't playing around. He wants to go for the lead, and he wants to go for it as soon as he gets the opportunity. The field charging out of turn 4 now with Brandon Smith right on the back bumper. There he goes, down to the inside. He's going to try and make this move into turn 1. He's going to hopefully have his teammate behind him to help. Down into turn 1 they go. Villalobos gets the initial launch in the 1, but now Brandon Smith starting to pull alongside, starting to pull clear of the 66. Out of turn 2, I think the 92 is clear for the lead down the back straightaway.
Wow, what a move from Smith. He did it twice in a row. 2 laps back-to-back for second place and then for first place, and it looks like Mesky is going to follow him through, and it's got Villalobos kind of all messed up here on the outside lane because DeMax is going through, and then behind that there's some more cars on the inside. The 66 will have a little bit of a gap to try to get down, but he went from first to fourth in 1 lap.
Yeah, Villalobos falling like a rock here in the last lap or two. Now DeMax is through up to third, and he's challenging Mesky now for the second position. DeMax having a quiet but strong run on this 16 car. A bit of a highlight, really, for Vento Motorsports so far this weekend. But look at this. DJ Curtis has fought his way up to the 8th position. The whole top 8 within a second of the lead. This is what we like to see.
Yeah, just incredible racing action, and so far, everybody within that top 8 or even the top 10 all have a chance in this race to get up to the front and win this thing, and you have to keep your eye on those people that are a little bit kind of in the back half of the top 10 because they have been a little bit slower pace. They've been drafting and they have been saving their tires a bit, so keep your eye on them as we approach halfway in this race. The tides are going to shift a little bit, and we see the 66 of Villalobos, who maybe has used up his stuff a little bit too early in this race because he had the opportunity to get down. He didn't, and now he's just falling even farther back. He's down to 5th place right now and still falling.
But meanwhile, it's the Smith and Mesky show out front. The FPM teammates taking command of this race. Now DeMax has fallen back into the clutches of Cody Lamas once again. This 48 is on a real tear. He started down in 19th. He's already fighting for a podium position. So I would not be surprised to see this 48 possibly be a challenge to those 2 teammates out front if he can get past that 16.
And I think that he is somebody that I bet a lot of people had circled, starting a little bit farther back, somebody with a shot that could possibly get up there early in this race, and he absolutely has. But did he use up his stuff to get up there? He's been kind of tearing through the field all race so far. We'll see what happens with the 48 in the later stages of this race, but in 3rd place right now. No, he isn't. Yeah, he's in 3rd, and that's great position right now. And if he could just stay there, stay in touch with the leaders, he'll have a real shot.
And here's his teammate, Nathan Stapleton, fighting his way up to the field. He started on the and he's knocking on the door of the top 10. He's battling Braden Varga for the 12th position at the moment, getting help from AJ Zal and Justin Whitmer, both of whom started outside the top 20. So you've got some comers and goers in this race. Those guys seem to be the forward movers, and then the Robbers teammates seem to be falling back a bit. We've got Villalobos 5th, Gutierrez 6th, and now Riley Hooper fighting to stay in the top 10 against Boston Shaw in the 31.
Yeah, look at this battle. I mean, all race it has been kind of this just outside the top 10. Side-by-side action that's just crazy between all these cars. I mean, it hasn't been the same set of cars this whole race, but they are still just fighting like crazy back there to get those positions and to get single file and get position on the next car. It is very entertaining to watch.
And speaking of entertaining, we've got a battle for second on our hands. Cody Lamas, David Mesky. Lamas ducks low on the 29, trying to make a move for the runners-up spot. Brandon Smith has led the last couple laps at this point, but he might have a challenge not from his teammate Mesky, but from this 48 of Cody Lamas, who has really been impressive this season. He had never set foot in a one-up racing car this season, and he already has a win this season at New Jersey. Now he's going for a second one here at Texas World.
Yeah, and this is it's fascinating to watch, how to use that inside lane as a passing lane. We've seen it several times so far in this race. Obviously, the outside is pretty strong still in this one, but I'm curious to see at what point is the 48 able to get by on the inside, because here he is again to the left of Mesky. And now he's going to dive down into the corner, and we've seen the pass be made there before. He's got somebody behind to push a little bit through the middle of the corner, and now on corner exit, the 48 is going to be clear. So, maybe the critical part is having somebody right behind you to kind of push you through that corner, keep your momentum up, and then allow you to get past the car that you're trying to pass, because that was a great move from the 48 with the assist from the 16.
And now Brandon Smith doesn't have a wingman behind him anymore. Now he's got Cody Lamas, who's going to challenge him for the lead as soon as he gets the opportunity, just as Smith did on Villalobos earlier in the race. Lamas gets right up to his bumper, not a move into turn one. He knows better than that at this point. He knows that the 92 is going to easily defend it, and he's going to have to wait for perhaps going into turn three in this lap to take his next shot.
Yeah, he has to get the right run on the leader, and there he goes to the inside. He's going to have to dive down into the corner pretty hard here. He's got no help from behind, and it's not going to work. The 92 really driving away, and the 48 had a bit of a slip-up in the middle of the corner. So luckily, he keeps his spot, and he's going to have another shot at taking the lead again. But the 48, he's learning his lesson here, and he knows that he's not going to get any help from the 29. Let's see what happens here. He's down to the inside now again. Ooh, and Smith, he slipped up a little bit, so now the 48's going to come up off the corner, and he's going to be side by side with him already. Let's see what happens down the straightaway. They're side by side for second place, or for third place as well. So it's 2 by 2 in the first two rows. What's Lamas going to do? Can he get the spot?
Yeah, it looks as though he's got a nose out on the 92. He's going to try and fight this one out of turn four. Lamas with the nose on Smith, coming down the front straightaway for the lead of the race. And it looks as though Cody Lamas through to the lead on lap 28. We just about hit the halfway point of this race. And now Lamas through to the lead. But Smith going to do his best to fight back. I think the 48's going to clear out of two, though.
Yeah, he definitely is, and he really was able to rocket by on the inside in that last set of corners right there. So it was really on corner exit that the 48 made his speed in comparison, which is great because that means the inside lane is starting to carry momentum, and it's opened it up for passing and for moving up through the field, and it is the same as the outside lane was earlier in this race. So that is just to prove how this track is changing and how the tires are impacting everybody today. The 48 through to the lead on the bottom of the track. A great job from the 48 to go from that 19th starting position all the way up to the lead in only 29 laps.
Taking a look now at the back of the field, I think Will Parrish in the 17 has an issue. He has dropped all the way back to 42nd and last. We're hearing he has maybe down a cylinder on that 17, so his road has gotten a lot harder for the rest of the night, but we'll see how it plays out for the 17. Maybe a little attrition can help him out on the way. But up at the front of the field, the 48 is starting to extend his lead, and now the two teammates for FPM, they're starting to go side by side, trying to settle out second position, and not far behind them, their other teammate, DJ Curtis, starting to make a move on the 66 to get into the top five himself.
Yeah, that's true, and this is an interesting time for these teammates to be battling right now in the second position with the 48 starting to drive away. He's got a fairly significant lead in comparison to the leads that we've seen the rest of the day here, but it looks like they're going to settle it for the second spot and try to chase down that 48 with a little bit of draft. That's just how it goes. And here's the 22, their teammate, and the 66 of Villalobos, who's not out of this thing yet. You know, he kind of fell back, and he's just kind of parked himself there in the sixth position, and he's just riding, trying to save his stuff for the end of the race. He knows he's got a fast machine underneath him, and he's going to try to make another charge at it later.
And meanwhile, Cody Lamas is just extending his lead further and further ahead of Brandon Smith. It's now 0.4 of a second between himself and the 92. This 48 looks comfortable out front, it has to be said, wrapping that white line all the way around turns 3 and 4. But something tells me that 22 is going to try and see if he can get up towards his teammates a little bit, if he can, for the rest of this race. Meanwhile, further back, we've got a lot of battles going on. Nathan Stapleton in the 97, he just fought his way up to the top 10, displacing Riley Hooper in the process. So that 97, trying to join his teammate at the front of the field, he's made his way up to 2.
Yeah, Stapleton started 21st, so again, another one of our comers and goers starting farther back in this field and then moving up towards the front, towards the end or the second half of this race. That's just the nature of this type of track with this amount of tire wear that we have. That's just how it's going to be. And here's DeMax. He's going to try to take advantage of the situation with the 29 and the 92 battling for the second spot. To Max to the outside lane. He's got the draft from Smith. What's he going to do in turn 1 and 2? He's going to try his best to take that spot away from the 29 with momentum on the outside. We'll see if he can do it.
DJ Curtis had a look to the inside on both of them, but thought better of it. They settle it out back in the order they started in. But Curtis, he started this race down at 14th. He's a bit of a low starting spot for his standards, but he's finished top 10 in every race so far this season, and that streak I would expect to continue with the pace he's showing right now, coming to 20 laps to go, running solidly in fifth.
Yeah, he's got a really good car underneath him. I think that he saved his tires a bit, and that's how he's able to move up through the field right now. Obviously, he's got a fast car. His teammates are up there as well, but to move up through the field in the way that he has a little bit later in this race is a great sign for him in the latter half of this one. And, you know, to that same point, here's Meske going to the bottom of Smith once again, but I'm starting to get a bit concerned about the 48. He's putting up a ferocious pace at the front of this field, and he's got a fast car, you know, but he spent the whole first half of this race passing, moving around, running that outside lane, running hard to get by people. I'm a little bit nervous to see if those tires eventually are going to hit a cliff and kind of fall off, and really he's going to struggle with the grip towards the end of this race, maybe even after lap 50, you know, but it doesn't take a lot of laps in this race for him to, or for those tires, if you lose control of your vehicle, for people to come and make the pass. So we'll see what the 48 is able to do. I kind of expected him to save a little bit more and kind of be more conservative once he got to the front, but he's just still putting on a crazy pace here and driving away from everybody, which is, you know, probably a good strategy. That's what they've decided is the best strategy for that team and that car. So, hey, we'll see how it works out. The 48 out front right now, and that's the best place to be.
Yeah, and I think what's helping him is the fact that these two teammates aren't really playing nice with each other. They're battling every so often for second position, and that is most definitely helping the 48 of Lamas to hold on to that lead, is because Smith has to keep worrying about Meske behind, and he has to keep thinking, is the 29 going to attack on this lap? So the more these two squabble with each other, the more Lamas gets a bigger lead, and he's got about a 4/10 lead over Smith. We'll see what it is at the line this time between the 48 and the 92. It's up to half a second now, and there's Meske going down the inside once again. So these two, they can't seem to make up their mind who's got the better car at the moment, and it's really hurting both of them.
No, you're totally right, and I think that this is something that, you know, it's kind of like we don't have team orders here, you know. It's not like crazy where you gotta let each other go, that kind of thing, but this is a situation where as teammates you kind of have to look at the overall picture and say, like, all right, let's just run in second and third right now so that we both have a chance at the end of this race to really fight for the win. Right now they're using up all their tire life, they're using up their equipment here, trying to fight with each other for the second position, when in reality they could be fighting for the lead with each other if they were to just work together for a little bit. So I don't know. I'm not saying that they need to not race each other. I think that this is good that we have teammates racing each other. However, I think that they would both be better served to be racing for the lead instead of for second place.
And all their infighting has brought Eric DeMax and DJ Curtis to them as well, and they're getting, I wouldn't say closer to Lamas, but they're at least keeping the gap steady out front as we're looking a little further back in the running order, see where your favorite driver is running as we close in on 15 laps to go. But Gutierrez now under fire from Cameron Lassard in their fight for 7th position. I'm sure this is not where Gutierrez was hoping he'd be running today, but it's still a top 10 run so far for the 72. Hopefully he can hang on to it. As Stapleton takes a look on Ironhouse as well for 9th. I feel like that 97 is kind of stalled out now that he's gotten to the top 10. He can't really make any more forward progress yet.
Yeah, he's kind of stuck behind Elijah Ironhouse right now, who's been hanging out in the top 10 all day. He lost several spots at the beginning of the race and then kind of just stayed there for the rest of this thing. So 97 having a little bit of trouble with the 8 car in 9th place, and that's just where they run right now. And you can see, you know, earlier in this race we had the top 8 all within a second of our leader, and now you can see it's only really really the top 4 that are that close. And 10th place is down to over 3 seconds back. So that's just as the tires are degrading, as the laps roll on. The field is becoming more and more spread out because everybody's kind of having to shift from this hardcore, intense battling and drafting and moving, making moves on cars ahead, to kind of fighting their own car and racing what's underneath them. So that's the difference here at lap 40 in this race at Texas World.
Meanwhile, Stapleton has finally gotten around Ironhouse, and now he's setting off after Gutierrez, who just got passed by Lassard, to move into a battle for 6th between Villalobos, Lassard, Gutierrez, Stapleton, Ironhouse. I'd even count out 2 cars back there. So we've got some great racing. It's just not for the lead at the moment. Although, as I say that, Smith has started to close the gap a little bit. It's down to 3.5 tenths now, as opposed to 7 earlier.
Yeah, this is a great little battle that we have here. This has kind of been happening all race, a little bit farther back behind these guys, but now that big group of cars that are all fighting each other has kind of moved forward here to the back half of the top 10. And Stapleton looks to the bottom. Nothing to do there. I mean, it's just basically find a hole and take it. For kind of racing, and these guys just taking advantage of every situation that they come across. It's very, very exciting.
We're coming to 11 laps to go at the line this time. Cody Lamas is still your leader. Brandon Smith second. David Meskey third. DeMax Curtis round out the top 5. But I think these 2 teammates are starting to work a little bit better together. They're starting to reel in the 48 just a little bit. The gap's now down to under 3 tenths between the 92 and the 48. These guys have got to keep doing this, though, because if they start fighting again, they're running out of laps. Next time by will be 10 laps to go.
Yeah, well, this is just kind of a keep in touch battle here. If Smith and Meskey can keep in touch with the 48, then they'll have a shot at winning this race. But these other drivers that really haven't been able to keep in touch, they're going to be fighting for the position that's closest to them, and that's pretty much it. I mean, especially 4th place, the 16, kind of out there all on his own, and then we have this battle for 6th as well. Just 66 defending, but pretty far behind our leaders. So that's just how it is right now in this one, and that's how it's worked out and played out. So you want to put yourself in those situations to stay up front and be up front at the end, and these are the drivers that have done that.
Meanwhile, at the back of the field, taking a look, Alexander Rowe, he's starting to fall off the main pack. He's down a cylinder in that 14 car. Hearing word that Jared Shank also experiencing a little mechanical issues in that 85 car. He's mired deep in the pack. His Ironhouse goes way high in that 8 car, trying to make some momentum stick. But up at the front, Smith is closing in on the back of the 48. We're looking at Parrish to see how far off the rest of the pack he is. But yeah, we're getting a lot of mechanical issues at this point in the race. We got the 14 with issues, the 17 with issues, the 85 with issues. Will one of them eventually hit a breaking point and really turn this race on its head?
Yeah, I don't know. This is it's fascinating to hear about all these different mechanical issues, and with these drivers that are slow on the track. I mean, are the leaders going to catch them and have to get by them? I'm not sure. Would they just move over for the leaders? I'd hope so. But yeah, it's just it's fascinating what's happening here in this one towards the end of the race. I mean, it's a lot of on throttle time. It's a lot of high RPM time here at Texas World. So it's not a big surprise that the engine's being pushed to their limit and maybe past their limit in some cases.
Yeah, but up at the front, I think Meskey's starting to fall off the lead group. I think he's used up too much of his stuff trying to challenge his teammate, and now he's falling into the clutches of DeMax and Curtis. So it looks to be a 2-horse race at the moment between Cody Lamas in the 48 and Brandon Smith in the 92, both of whom looking for their second career wins in the Nitro National Series. Lamas in his first season in the game, Smith in year number 2. But these guys are giving it their best. They've got 7 laps to go at the line here. And, man, time is running out for Brandon Smith. He's got to start putting in some solid laps to get up to the back of the 48 so that he can make a move when he's there.
Yep, and he's not going to have any help from behind him. It's going to be just the 92 versus the 48. It's going to be fascinating. And, to just look at this race to contextualize everything that's happening here at the front. The 48 car started in 19th, had a hard charge all the way up from that position to the lead and passed Brandon Smith to get the lead in this race. Meanwhile, Brandon Smith, started in the 12th position, so a bit higher than our current leader. Didn't have to work as hard to get to the front. Maybe has a little bit more tire life left on that car, but I think the 48 is faster overall.
Meanwhile, our Consider Villalobos has tumbled out of the top 10 entirely. He must have used this good, get the good all out of his tires. Now he is fading down into 11th position towards the end of this race. But we're approaching 5 laps to go. Next time around will be 5 to go, and Brandon Smith's starting to lose touch as well. Maybe he's used the good on his as well. Lamas, I'm surprised he's hanging in there as well as he has, considering the charge to the front he put on earlier. But he's doing a great job holding off Brandon Smith, and now he only has about 10 miles left to keep it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, look at this. The lead is almost a whole second now, 7/10 behind is the 92 car, and that is extremely impressive from the 48 of Cody Lamas. I mean, this is just an absolute spanking here at Texas World Speedway. We saw how difficult it was for any leader to really get away from anybody early in this race, and then for this race to develop in the way that it has, for the 48 car to get out front and be out front so far away from Brandon Smith after using so much energy and tire life to get to the front from 19th starting position, and now look at that. He's still 6/10 ahead. Smith made a little bit of headway on that lap, but it certainly won't be enough with only a few laps to go. This is just very impressive from the 48 team.
And no one expected this when we started the season, because Cody Lamas was a pure rookie. He'd never driven in anything one-up related until we rocked up to Daytona. And now he's already got a win. He's up to, as they run right now, he'd be in the top. He'd be like third in points around there, and he's on his way to his second win already. This 48 is incredible. This could be a top candidate to replace Zachary Fitzwater in the Superstar Series once he calls it a career at season's end.
You're right. I mean, and this isn't the first time that we've seen something like this in this series, but time and time again, we have these drivers that are just absolute prodigies, and
we saw it with the Max last year.
Absolutely. Yep, and it's you have a prodigy driver like this, and you get him in a car, any car, and they're going to prove it and perform at every single type of racetrack. And this is just the next chapter here in the one-up Nitro National Series story with the 48 car out front, and it's we'll see what happens, rest of this race. We've only got a couple laps to go here, and it looks like the 92 is gaining still on the 48, but just even if he doesn't end up winning this race, it is just absolutely impressive and stunning to watch this young driver perform in the way that he has, in a way that nobody was expecting, like you said.
Yeah, and like I said, Fitzwater Australia Racing, this is their first season in Nitro National competition, and they're already on pace to get their second win. Although Brandon Smith is gaining a lot of time. He's gained a couple tenths on the previous lap. He's gained a couple tenths this lap. But now he only has one more lap to make it happen. We're coming to the white flag this time. Lamas, your leader at the white.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, Brandon Smith, he may have dropped off the pace a little bit to cool off those tires. Get back there, cool them off a little bit, and then charge hard towards the end. But I'm not sure if it's going to be enough, because he's more than 3.5 tenths back, and he's just sitting there not really gaining anymore. The 48 out front by a lot.
So down the back straightaway for the final time, Cody Lamas through 3 and 4 has had an incredible start to his career in the Nitro National Series. He's done wonderfully to get to this point. He's only a few hundred yards from home. We're coming through the final corner as Jared Shank, he's finally lost it on his car. He comes down pit road at the end. But for Cody Lamas, career win number 2, finally his at Texas World Speedway. And boy, this one he had to earn. He charged from 19th to 1st in this race. That is something to be proud of. But for Jared Shank, we knew he was ailing in that car, and it finally bit him on the final lap.
Yeah, and I think that the 48, I mean, he was able to charge all the way up from his starting position in mid-pack and still probably lead the most laps in this race. By the time he got there, it's just an extremely impressive performance from that whole team to prepare for this race and then to execute and make it happen out on the track. Very, very well done from Cody Lamas and the whole organization with the 48 car. Very well done.
Rounding out your rest of your top 10, Smith hung on to second, Meskey third, DeMax and Curtis rounded out the top 5. Nathan Stapleton fought all the way up to 6th, so a strong run overall for the team. Cameron Lassard 7th, backing up a win at Bristol with a good day here. AJ Zhao, we didn't talk about the 98 much today. He started down in 22nd. He finished 8th. Justin Whitmer, he started all the way down in 26th, and he finished in the 9th position. And for all the hype that Roberts Racing had, starting on the front row, got all 3 of their cars started in the top 5. Only one of them gets a top 10 finish, and that's Angel Gutierrez in 10th.
Just a great race. We had, I mean, a fantastic kind of set. It was almost a tale of two races that we had here. In the beginning, it was really a high pace, high charge action, kind of three wide, high speed battle, and then at the end, it turned into a who can survive with your tires the longest, and the 48 was the best at both types.
Absolutely,
here today.
That. You could say that again, for sure. But from Duke Gainsek and from myself as well, thanks for joining us at Texas World. We'll see you again next week at Charlotte Motor Speedway for race number 8. Congrats to Cody Lamas. He is your winner today after a hard-fought battle in College Station, Texas.